Hello there guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome back to episode 2 of Europa Universalis IV. We are playing as the Shogun of Japan and we have found a rather cheeky little way to declare war against our vassals who we normally don't have a CB against, and we're going to try and take a few provinces in this war. Now, like I said, you do have to be really careful doing it in this way. It is actually quite possible to take quite a lot of land quite quickly using this method, and it's useful to do it for a couple of reasons. First of all, by taking the provinces yourself, you're denying them from the other daimyos, which means you get stronger and they don't. However, in doing so, you are still reducing the number of daimyos available, which is problematic for you because it reduces your force limit and reduces your vassal income. Now, that's not too bad because at least if you own the land, you're getting the extra development, which will help somewhat. But because you have such a small amount of cash and such a small amount of manpower, you don't want to spread out too quickly and too thinly because you'll never be able to deal with the rebellions. So we've got 100% war score now in this war. We are going to try once again to directly deal with Takeda. They are now willing to cede their one and only province to me. And what I am going to do with the remaining war score is I'm going to take from them every penny that I can take from them. Now look at that, they have 58 ducats. I've always found it strange, when you full annex a nation, surely you should already get all of the money that they own anyway. But unfortunately you don't. So we could full annex them and take 58 ducats from them, which at our current sort of rate of earning money is about, well, over nearly 5 years worth of income. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and instantly we will have gained ourselves a new province. Now if we can go ahead and look here, you can see it already has provincial unrest. We are going to want to core it. Our overextension isn't a problem, but it costs us 91 admin power to core this province. Now what we can do, because we've actually got some money now, we can actually go ahead and we can hire ourselves a Diplo advisor. Missionary strength at this point is probably a little bit pointless. We definitely can't afford a rank 2. So we're just going to go for the production efficiency guy. Hopefully he can sort of pay for himself to a certain extent. Now the question is, do we want to take any more land? Well, yes, we'd like to. The problem that we're going to have in doing so is we don't have enough admin points to core. Now, let's have a look what our missions have got. Create a proper fleet. Well, we'd love to do that. Then it would reduce the cost of our ships, because I think the ship cost is also the maintenance costs as well as the building costs. Although it does last 10 years. It's going to be a while before we can dominate the Japanese trade. Getting our prestige up is going to take quite some time as well. So let's just take the proper fleet for now. We might just about be able to manage it. We are going to go now and sue for peace against the war leader. Now it would be nice to take both of these provinces from them. Now in doing so, obviously it is costing us Diplo power because we didn't have claims on them. It will give us 22% overextension. We can't actually afford to core them all straight away. We could in fact grab all of their land, and it might be well worth doing that. Let's go ahead and take as much money from them as we can. There's another 104 ducats. Let's go and send demands. So all of a sudden, within just over 1 year from the start of the game, we've gone from owning 3 provinces to now owning 7. So we've significantly increased our size. We cannot afford to core anything else, but that doesn't really matter too much. What we do want to do is we want to go through and we want to increase the autonomy, because we want to delay any possibility that there may be of getting a rebellion. Now, we probably still will get rebellions. We probably cannot avoid that happening. But the big problem that we're going to have if we do get rebellions is we will be wasting manpower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split my army up, and I'm going to put some troops onto all of the provinces that actually have unrest. It might just be enough to kick the unrest down to manageable levels, at least until we get some more manpower in the bank. Now, we could just carry on doing that. I'm sure that there are already other wars underway between some of the other daimyos. If we go ahead and just right-click on a few, I'm sure we will eventually find one that is engaged in some sort of war. No, it looks like they're all actually at peace at the moment. But it won't be long. I'm guessing it'll probably only be less than a year before they start something again. As soon as that happens, we could, if we wanted to, repeat the process. But again, it's a bit risky as we are short on admin points. What is our focus at the moment? Actually forgot to change that. So we are actually getting some inflation now, partially because we actually took some money in the peace deals, and also because we now have a gold mine. So let us go ahead and look at our focus, which is what I wanted to do here. No, that was the wrong button. I want to look at my focus. We're not currently focused on anything. I think we are going to focus on admin at this point, just so that we can try and grab some more admin points for coring. Now, what is the unrest in these provinces? We're down to 0.4, 0.7, 0 here. Could we take away one more troop, possibly? If we can take away one troop and leave that at 0, I'll send him somewhere else. You need to go home at war and you can protect trade in Nippon. We also need to find the rest of you and tell you to go home at war. And what we can do now is we can actually afford to go ahead and buy a few more light ships. We've got a few more coastal provinces now as well. Although obviously some of them aren't our cores. Well, none of them are our cores at the moment, so we only have the option of building light ships here. But we'll get a few queued up. So we'll leave that going. Okay, what's the unrest here with that army gone? Well, it hasn't quite gone yet. Come on, get out of here, 25th. So the unrest here is still 0.4. It's actually minus. That's interesting. Did we have unrest there without the army? Oh no, because that was our core province. I've moved to the wrong province. I should have been standing in this one, derp. I was going to say, how come I didn't have any unrest there? So we're down to 0.4 unrest here, 0.7, 0.7. It's all manageable. It is still possible that we will end up with a rebellion, but I think we'll be fine. Let's have a look and see our force limit, which was at 18 of 20. Sorry, 18 of 21 has now gone down to 18 of 20. So we've already started to lose force limit because 2 of our vassals no longer exist. So if you remember when we started, we actually had 11 of 8. We now only have 9 of 8. So 2 of the vassals have gone. But the good thing is, none of the other daimios gained any land in that conflict. If we hadn't have got involved, there's a very good chance that, for example, the... who were these guys? The Shiba may well have won and taken a couple of extra provinces. So there we go. We can see that Uchi has declared war on Otomo. And Usugi has declared war on Hatakeyama. So we've already got a couple more wars going on. Now, once again, if we wanted to, we could go ahead and get involved. But there's very little point because we can't flipping core anything. So what we could do is we could still try and diplomatically annex somebody. We are sucking up to this guy here. We don't have a penalty to our diplomatic relations because we haven't diplo-annexed anybody so far. So we'll continue to suck up with these guys, and when we get to 1554... 11th of November 1554, we can start to annex them. Now, that will cost us Diplo points, and it will take a little bit of time to do. Now, one thing that we could also do, of course, is we could just use this as a CB to just declare war on the daimios, and instead of taking land from them, we could just take money, which would mean we wouldn't have to worry about unrest, we wouldn't have to worry about spending admin points to core, and it should then break the vassalization. Once that vassalization is broken, they just become a neighbouring independent state, which means we can actually fabricate claims on them and take stuff via conquest. So we do have the option to do that if we wish to. So we're just going to wait until we've got some stuff. We can core another province, so let's go ahead and start doing that. Now, it's usually a good idea to try and keep some admin power in the bank, because the other problem you have playing as Japan is the Shogun has a habit of dying early. Now, he's only actually 24. He's actually quite a young man. But the last few times I've played as Japan, sort of test games, he has died within the first 20 years. So that can be a little bit problematic. It's also one of the reasons why I don't like to make him the general of the army. So we can either lose some trade efficiency or lose some trade range, or we can spend 25 Diplo points for a mercantilism. Well, yeah, we might as well go ahead and do that. We need to get as much money coming in as possible. We're still making money, which is good. Our manpower maximum is still very, very small. It has gone up slightly from taking some extra land. Of course, once the land is cored, we will be able to get a little bit more. As you can see, it is actually ticking up slightly. You've also got to remember that the majority of the land that we took, we actually increased the autonomy, so we're hardly getting any manpower from the extra provinces. Once the unrest goes away, once the local autonomy starts to tick down, we will get a relatively decent amount of manpower from them. And the more manpower we have doesn't just increase the cap, it also increases the rate at which we regain manpower. We're currently only getting 100 per month, which is very slow. Because we have a deficit of like 6,000 men, 7,000 men, so that's going to take a lot of months for all of that to recover. So just keeping our eye on unrest. The unrest is going away. In fact, we currently have no unrest at all. And of course, our overextension is causing some of the unrest, so the moment that overextension goes away, we will have less unrest, and the separatism is also going to tick down. So as soon as, you know, another few more months as the separatism ticks away and we've managed to core a few provinces, we'll be able to move our armies back to somewhere where they can more easily defend. Now, the other good thing, by blobbing out across the middle of the country here and sort of blocking it off, makes it very, very difficult for any of the daimios to actually reach the 10 province requirement for us to get a CB on them. We don't really need them to do that, though. That's the thing. We have a new heir, which is, oh, look at the military power on that, so 236. That guy's actually quite good, especially at this early stage in the game. So we're making money, we're still building ships. Let's make sure you go home at war and we're at the Nippon trade node. Now, how many ships do we need to fulfill that mission? Let's go and have a look there. 75% of the naval force limit. Our naval force limit is 14, half of which would be 7, half of which would be 4.5. So 11.5 ships. So it's going to be 11 or 12 ships. Kai has now been cored, which is fantastic. We do have more money, so let's make sure we've got another ship or two queued up. So Kai has now been cored, which is fantastic. Its autonomy is going down, and it also means that we are getting more manpower and stuff from here as well. There we go. We've gone up from 11,900 and whatever it was to 12,200. So we now gain 101 men each month. It's still not really a massive improvement, but it's better than nothing. And of course, we are getting the gold from here as well. So it's all going to help out. At the moment, even with the steady inflation, we are still gaining money. Not an awful lot. It's only 0.27 duck. It's just gone down to 0.23. It's always worth keeping your eye out just in case you get the inflation reduction advisor. He can be very useful in this situation, especially as it's going to be quite costly to keep taking money from these guys. So there we go. We've got Hosokawa has declared war against Yamana. So a lot of the daimios are attacking each other now. Now what I've got to worry about here is that this guy, Yamana, who is one of the ones that I actually wanted to diplo-vassalize, is currently getting beaten up on by Hosokawa. Now I could at this point move in and declare war against these guys and make them into a separate entity and lose their vassalage. It might not be a bad idea to do. On the other hand, what it might be more important to do is stop sucking up to this guy and go... And do we have a... Yeah, we have a royal marriage with these guys. So let's start improving relations with these guys. Because if Hosokawa actually manages to take some of these provinces, then we can just integrate them all as one daimyo, which would be a lot easier. It would be a lot more expensive and take more time, but the problem is when they're all individual daimyos, if you take them one at a time, it takes forever because you're constantly having to wait for that recently annexed penalty to go away. So we're not going to get involved in this war too much. Now, like I said, I did do a few sort of trial games with this before starting the Let's Play, and my main worry was that it could end up being a little bit too boring. Playing as Japan the way it's meant to be played, where you just diplo-annex everybody, is very slow, very time-consuming, there's not much warfare going on, and, you know, it's not really fun to watch, and to be honest, it's not all that fun to play either. That said, also had a few goes at some of the different daimyos, and because you constantly have to click through 20 different provinces to work out who everyone's allied to and who everyone's rivaled against and stuff like that, it really does take its toll. So I figure this is the best way to go, playing as Japan, still doing some of the diplo annexing, but at the same time also fighting when it's appropriate. Now, a couple of things that I haven't done that I did forget to do. First of all, I did not issue an embargo against Korea, which we should definitely be doing, because they are our vassal. They are our rival. Now, you'll also notice here that the white guys here, the... how do you pronounce that? Usugi. Usugi has taken over this vassal that used to be here. So now there is one less vassal, which is why our over your diplomatic relations thing has just gone away. So they're now up to 4 provinces. We are also sucking up to these guys. So what I could do, because we're already at 190, again, we do need to wait until 11th of November 1454. I could diplo-annex these guys, and that would completely join up all of our land up here, which would be really, really nice for us. So maybe we'll end up doing these guys before these guys. Looks like the rest of this war has ended anyway. It would be nice if we could get the mission to... It would be nice if we could get the mission to integrate somebody else. We'll have to see how that works out for us. So, somewhere else has been cored. You've been cored. What is the unrest over here? It's minus 1.44. And you're only getting +1 for having the troops there, so we can bring those troops home. We can probably afford to core some more of these provinces now. Let's go for the ones closest to home. Well, I guess they're all close to home now. We've finished that one. And once these 2 provinces are done, in fact, there's probably so little unrest now. Yeah, because our overextension has ticked down, minus 1.44, and we're only getting +1 for friendly troops. So we could move the friendly troops out of there. This province, unrest, is minus 1.69, and again, we're only getting 1.25 for the troops. So we could move the troops out of there, which would, we still wouldn't have any unrest. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of wars going on that we could get involved in if we wanted to. It's certainly a good way to take some money. Now what have we got here? We can lose 50 military power or we can lose 10 prestige. I don't really want to lose either, and it sucks, but our prestige is so low and it really does help with other things. So we will take the hit to military power. Now, what I could do, as we actually have an army, is I could go and get involved. See, our force limit is already dropping. It's now down to 19 because we've lost another vassal. So don't go crazy at the start of the game and build up to your force limit because you'll soon go over. So what we want to do maybe is go to war with somebody. I think I might want to take these guys on diplomatically. And maybe we want to go ahead and... I'm just thinking who I would like to sort of break away. Because it'd be nice to just get some money. We could lose some money for prestige. I guess we'll do that. And we could just go ahead and fight one of these wars and potentially win it. Now, is that something that we want to do? We are once again losing manpower. But I think what we are going to do is go to war against one of them. So maybe these guys down here. I'm probably not going to... Well, actually, what is our overextension? It's not that bad. We could certainly manage taking a few more provinces from them. So let's go to these guys, and we are going to enforce peace on these guys. Now, these guys aren't actually the war leader. So we need to work out who the war leader is on Yamana's side. So, again, we'll go in, we'll look at the current wars. There is Yamana. It's actually Shimazu, who are these guys down here. So if we go to you and tell you to enforce peace, it doesn't matter which of these we pick because they're going to say no anyway. We'll send. They'll say no. There we go. We are now hostile. So what we want to do now is go ahead and defeat their armies. And take some of their land. So we will do this very quickly. We are going to detach a siege there. Now this will actually, it says we're losing money at the moment because our ships are told to go home at war. And that's not a bad idea because there are some hostile ships around and we are just about to force these guys out. So let's detach a siege there. And then we will move down and start taking out the rest of these guys. We'll just make sure we've got the diplomacy map mode on just so that we can actually see where we're fighting against. And as you can see, there's still a lot of other wars going on. There's various different daimyos fighting each other. So we managed to go ahead and crush that stack. I guess we could be helpful here and unsiege some of our allies' provinces. So let's go ahead and unsiege those. And then we will move you over to Satsuma. So we've already managed to grab one province there. Let us go... Well, we can't unsiege that province because it actually belongs to our ally. But we can certainly start sieging out some of our aggressor's stuff. Well, we're the aggressor in this war, I suppose. There we go. So we've unsieged that. So you can go and siege out these provinces. These are the provinces that can get a little bit difficult to siege later on, because the only way to reach them is via these straits, which means obviously the first thing that you have is you might as well stay there now because disease outbreak. The first problem you have is engaging armies because you'll often get a strait penalty. Although you will find that most of these provinces have two ways into them. There's usually a couple of different straits, so you can always sort of go around the back, as it were, to attack them. And guess we're not actually in that war. You guys can come out of there. That's fine. And also the fact that if your enemy has naval superiority, they can actually completely block off the straits as well. So there are various different problems that can cause that. So we are still making some money. I don't really want to risk putting my ships out there, especially while there are at least 8 hostile ships. Although, to be fair, 3 of them there's 1 light ship, 3 galleys, and all the rest are transport. So it's not terrible. But still, we will be cautious. We will still carry on trying to build up towards the naval force limit. And again, what I did just notice there is we are now at our army force limit. So our force limit is going down and down. So we can gain some yearly prestige for the loss of a few ducats and some admin power, or we can lose 5 prestige. Yearly prestige could be really useful for us. Losing admin power sucks, but we are admin focused and we do have an admin advisor, so it's not too terrible. Once again, I'm going to be ending this video in the middle of a war because we're over the 20-minute mark, and I think it would take a little bit too long to wait for this war to finish. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you are still enjoying EU4 as Japan, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, goodbye for now.